Okay, lung 11, Shaoshang. So with lung 11, the traditional location is following the nail bed down and following it across. And where they meet, you would put the needle in. But unfortunately, here's where the nail bed is, and it extends beyond the skin. So when you squeeze the skin a little bit, like this, you're adding a pad here, and that makes it easier to insert. So the X and Y axis will be, the X axis will be along the base of the crease here, and then the Y axis will be where you follow the lateral part of the nail bed, but slightly outwards. And then you will find a spot where they meet, and the two will sink in. So keep going XY, XY until you find it, and it's right over here. And you can see that it's sinking in directly medial to the nail bed. And tonification would be facing the channel and just slight angle. So I'm not all the way down here, but I have a very slight angle. And then I would tap it in like this. Tap, 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 very gently. If I wanted to sedate, I would angle it about 10 to 20 degrees in the opposite direction. Again, tap, tap, tap. The insertion is going to be at a slight angle. See if I can show you. This way. Not directly in, but slightly towards, aiming to a point directly in the middle of the thumb. Lung 10, Yuye, fish border. So basically, what you're looking for is this medial line of the first metatarsal, and here's where the tuberosity is. So it's where that line meets the tuberosity. So when we do this, one thing you can do is use your other hand to feel kind of approximately where there's a little bump and where the line of the medial border meets the bump. So it's right about here is where I'm feeling it. Okay, so basically you can use the Chimkon 2 to go against the border. Okay, so against going along the border. So this is one axis, the y-axis, and then across. Okay, and now I'm going across the upper border of the tuberosity. So one is down. I'm finding this line right here. Okay, as I go down. And now I go along that line until the Chimkwan sinks into the hole. So now, since both of those meet at a point right about here, that's where I'm going to stop. Now, to insert this point, you're inserting it at an angle. So the angle is almost 90 degrees, okay? But when you're tonifying, the angle is also going to be adjusted towards the tip of the thumb. You're aiming for a line that goes up to lung 11, okay, Xiaoxiang. You're aiming for that line, okay? And that would be tonification, again, very subtle. And sedation would be against the channel, again, very subtle direction. In the insertion here, if you go a little bit too much towards the bone, it will be tap tap, and then you'll feel a little thud, or feel a little thud, means you're in the bone. If you go this direction, it should be very smooth. Lung 9, Taiyuan. You're looking for the transverse crease of the of the wrist. You can see right at the transverse crease, you can feel, again, the base of the metatarsal, and that's not where you want to go. So sometimes you find the transverse crease of the wrist and you go down just a little bit, and see how the chimkwan just kind of sinks into the hole. Okay, so basically I'm going down and I'm finding where that transverse crease is, and it winds up being the second crease, not the first. Okay, so I found one angle, and now I'm going to find the other. Okay, so I'm going to go across several times, and I'm also going to go from the opposite direction. Okay, across, and the Chimkwan keeps sinking into the same location, and so that's where it is. Again, it's a little bit lower than the top crease. To tonify, you would be at a slight angle upwards towards the Xiaoxiang long 1 point, long 11 point. Tap, tap, tap. Sedate, same thing. Tap, 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 but you're facing against the channel. So here's something important to note, that this point is really, really difficult to insert, and the angle is usually very, very shallow. Perfect insertion of this point will be very smooth, and it will actually, you can actually feel it sinking in about a half a chun to 3/4 of a chun. Most of the time when this needle is inserted, you won't get that far. It will still work, but if you can actually adjust the angle of the needle several times to get it to insert a little deeper, then you'll be hitting lung 9, source point of the lungs, right exactly where you need to. Lung 8, Qing 2. You're looking for the styloid process of the wrist. So the styloid process is directly below the skin. And definitely you don't want to needle into it because it's hard and there's no, and painful, and there's really no way to access the energy there. So this is a very, very much obliquely inserted point. But first you want to find the base of, or the proximal border of the styloid process. So this technique I'm using is to find the proximal border. So you keep going down, down, down like this, okay? Now, lung 8 is traditionally 1 chun above the transverse crease, okay? But with the XY axis, we're going to find out exactly where it is, approximately 1 chun, right here. So now we found our first angle. Okay, and the second is going to be just like we did with the other. We want to go from lateral to medial, medial to lateral several times. Okay, lateral to medial, and then checking to see again where that point is. So it winds up being right about there. The Qingguan wound up going to the same place several times, and that's why I chose. So to tonify, again, you're going to insert obliquely, okay? Now, if you insert this needle incorrectly, it'll immediately make contact with the bone. If you insert it correctly, and that means your angle should be oblique again, then you will go across the bone, and that's where you can get the energy, because the energy is very shallow here. For sedation, it's the same angle in the opposite direction, very steep angle. And again, if you insert this needle correctly, it should go very, very smooth and not hit anything along the way, because you're in between the tendons, hallucis brevis and longus tendons. So, okay. Thank you. Okay, lung 5, Qi Zi, you're looking for the transverse crease of the elbow this time. And you want to follow this channel, so all the way up from here down towards the wrist, okay? And the other thing you want to be careful of is not to confuse this point with PC3 or LI11. So PC3, LI11, this is kind of in between, okay? So basically what you're going to do is follow the transverse crease across until you get to a soft spot. So here's where LI11 is. You're going to go in like this, okay? Okay, so there's a little groove directly lateral to the biceps brachii tendon, and that's where it is. So it'll sink right into it, basically, as you go. Now, the other thing you want to do in order to find, so now that we've established this angle, now we want to establish this angle. So we want to go down the biceps brachii tendon several times and back up like this. Okay, so it winds up being pretty much right here. Okay, tonification again along the channel up to about 20 degrees, sedation against the channel 20 degrees.